Greetings everyone. My research topic for today will be Carl Jung Personality Theory, Carl Jung Archetypes, Carl Jung Synchronicity, and Carl Jung Individuation. Carl Jung Personality Theory. Short biography. Carl Gustav Jung was born in Switzerland, year 1875, to a pastor father. During his childhood, he was happiest when he was in solitude with his thoughts and left to play alone. In 1900, Jung graduated from the University of Basel. In 1902, he completed his doctoral dissertations and earned his medical degree from the University of Zurich. In 1903, he got married and the couple had 5 children. In 1905, he became a senior doctor at psychiatric hospital and a lecturer at University of Zurich. In 1907, Jung and the older Sigmund Freud became good friends. Working with Freud had helped him develop a fascination for the unconscious mind and further understanding through arts and dreams. To expand his understanding of the unconscious, Jung traveled the world to learn about new cultures. In 1912, his friendship with Freud ended because although Jung had always been a free thinker, he disagreed with some of Freud's ideas on the unconscious. In 1943, he accepted a teaching position at the University of Basel. After he had heart attack, he left the post 1 year later. He was tormented by heart and circulatory disease. He passed away at age 85. Carl Gustav Jung, 1875 to 1961, who founded analytic psychology, was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychologist who theorized about how personality types shape our behaviors. Jung pointed out that he invented personality theory to demonstrate the complexity of human typology. To describe typology, it is the categorization of individuals into types according to personality or attitudes and others. Jung typology is built on 2 personality attitudes. Jung identified 2 different types: introversion, introverts, and extroversion, extroverts. Carl Jung meant by introversion is one's focus on the inner world, while extroversion is one's focus on the outside world. Jung described introverts who get their energy from being alone, while extroverts get their energy by engaging in stimulating activities and from being around with people. Pets have personality too. I recall my friend told me that her dog, Max, is an extrovert and loves it when people come over, while her shy cat, Milo, is more of an introvert. When there's visitor in the house, he hides. Let us continue. According to Jung, introverts are those who prefer to solve problems on their own and feel comfortable focusing on their inner thoughts. while he recognized extrovert people who preferred working in groups and enjoyed generating ideas and energy from others. The interest of the introvert is inwards, while the interests of the extroverts are directed outwards to their surrounding environment. Jung added. Carl Jung identified two different attitudes types, introverts and extroverts. And he separated them into four subtypes. Letter A, thinking. Letter B, feeling. Letter C, sensation. And letter D, intuition. Let us have letter A, thinking. Jung called the intellect as the direct application of thinking. He pointed out that thinking attitude consider the pros for and cons against before making a decision about anything, practical, and solve their issues with logic reasoning. So the words usually associated with thinking are head, you have frank, evaluate, and logic. Let us continue. Letter B, feeling. Jung mentioned that feeling attitude judges based upon how a person is emotionally affected by something, with affect being its means and primary criteria for decision. It's the opposite of thinking. Feeling attitude use the heart as their principal guide, are gentle, warm, and have a compassionate form of communication, and want to see how the decision will impact others individually and as a whole. Example, it's like if something feels good, she goes for it. She avoids it if it doesn't. Let us continue. Letter C, sensation. In Jung's model of typology, meaning categorization of human species by personality, race, skin color, etc., he described sensation as an irrational or unreasonable function. It considers concrete facts with no judgment of what they are worth or of what they mean. Jung also identified sensation into two, concrete sensation and abstract sensation. Let us continue. According to Jung's, concrete sensation is always come apart with thoughts, feelings, and ideas, and never appear in pure form. The concrete sensation of peony, being known as the king of flowers, is not only its strongly scented, broad, glamorous petals, but also goes with its strong stems and leaves. On the other hand, abstract sensation is found principally among artists. The abstract sensation of a rose, for example, is its red color, since the flower symbolizes deep emotions. Let us continue. Letter D, intuition. Carl Jung described intuition as psychic alertness and as an spiritual need. It is intuition that associates the self with ourselves, objects, and people so that we don't put on false disguises, Jung added. According to the theory of Jung personality types, the opposite of sensation is intuition. It is knowing something without reasoning and to notice small things that others might simply ignore. My cousin, for example, go for round or oval in choosing a dining table. She believes that this allows positive energy to flow gently throughout a room. The second topic will be Carl Jung archetypes. As proposed by Carl Jung, archetypes, raw forms of energy, are defined as themes and images that derive from the collective unconsciousness. For Jung, directing and influencing present behavior, our primitive past becomes the basis of the human psyche. Jung declared to identify numerous archetypes but gave special attention to four major archetypes: anima animus, persona, the shadow, and the self. Letter A, animus and anima. Jung identified animus as the masculine part of a female soul, and the anima is thought to be the feminine part of a man's soul. Jung believed that animus and anima are typical character or situation that represent universal pattern of human nature. Like for example, Florence Nightingale, a true hero who dedicated her life to helping others, or Mahatma Gandhi, who brought the spiritual component to the world. It is said that if a man embraces his anima, is often criticized as being a fag or sissy. But as described by a Jungian psychologist, the man who has connected with his feminine anima displays modesty, kindness, and compassion. Integrating a positive animus into the female psyche can result in self-confidence, strength, and reasonableness. Letter B, persona. The persona archetype was the social face individual presented to the world, and Jung emphasized that it represents how we portray ourselves in public in front of others. The word persona comes from the Latin meaning false face or mask. According to research, early Greek actors used to wear large masks not to hide the actor but to give about the character information. Example of persona, it can be your occupation or the role you play as a teacher, doctor, father, friends, etc. The persona of a teacher can be necessary for getting along with students, for creating the impression that you wish to present as you fill in the role that the society expects of you. Let us continue now. Letter C, the shadow. Carl Jung described the shadow as the sum of all those unpleasant qualities we like to hide from ourselves. But he emphasized that although the shadow is usually viewed as negative, it can also be positive. There is no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection, he said. Your fear of rejection, if you are struggling to get along with people, might be your shadow. And let us continue. Carl Jung affirmed that by embracing our shadow side, that we can truly know ourselves. And because it is the source of greater understanding and self-awareness, it's incredibly useful to know. According to research, there are ways to spot your shadow self, such as thinking you are better than other people, and when you notice others' flaws, it's because you recognize them in yourself. Letter D, the self. Carl Jung identified the self as the center of the total personality, and it signifies the union of the consciousness and unconsciousness in an individual. Jung also stressed that the self is an image of God, a representation of God as it would be depicted within the psyche. Furthermore, the self could also be considered a symbol of what the religions called the soul, he added. The third topic will be Carl Jung synchronicity. According to research, to create synchronicity in life, follow through and stand by your decision. Synchronicity will start playing out in front of you and start observing everything as though it is meant to be. Just follow it as if it's leading you closer to your goal. In words, Carl Jung said that synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Synchronicity relies on our unique desire and need at any given moment in life, since it is different for everyone. An author described it as a string of events that seem to be highly symbolic and meaningful in nature, a trail that lead us toward new destination. There are events that depict synchronicity in our life. For example, when you think about a friend and suddenly you receive a phone call from that person. There are times when dreaming about people, animals, places, then in real life, seeing them repeatedly. When you dream of one, it symbolizes being number one. An author said that choosing accidental TV program to view and discovering after some time that the lead character is encountering the same struggle and trials as you are is an example of synchronicity. My last topic will be Carl Jung individuation. According to Jung, the central process of human development is called individuation. For him, it encompasses the mystical, spiritual, and philosophical areas of humans. Through the process of emerging the conscious and the unconscious, individuation is the achievement of self-actualization. Jung noted that both physically and spiritually has a holistic healing effect on a person. Jung emphasized that individuation is gaining knowledge of the timeless patterns of life, the process whereby one becomes conscious of the archetypes' symbolic manifestations. This knowledge provides us with awareness that our problems are common to all of the humanity. Moreover, Jung added that simply knowing that we are not alone in our suffering can often have a therapeutic effect. That ends up my PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for watching.